It starts subtly, a few extra strands in the brush or a part that looks slightly whiter in the mirror. But beneath the surface, a complex biological process is unfolding, a phenomenon known as the follicle choke. Today, we're moving past the marketing myths to look at the actual science of hair density. To understand thinning, we first have to understand what a healthy, thriving follicle looks like. Your hair is a high-energy tissue requiring constant oxygen and nutrients delivered via the dermal papilla. In a healthy cycle, these follicles produce thick, pigmented strands that stay in the growing phase for years. This is the Anagen phase, the growth stage that determines the length and thickness of your hair. But for many women, a process called miniaturization begins to take hold, slowly suffocating the hair. This is the follicle choke. It isn't a physical strangulation, but a biological constriction of resources. One of the primary culprits is DHT, a hormone that can bind to follicles and signal them to shut down. As the follicles sensitive to these triggers, the blood supply begins to diminish, cutting off the fuel line. The result? Each new hair produced is thinner, shorter, and weaker than the one before it. For women aged 25 to 40, this process is often triggered by a perfect storm of internal shifts. It's rarely just one thing. It's a combination of hormones, inflammation, and oxidative stress. Microinflammation acts like scarring around the follicle, making it harder for the hair to emerge. Chronic stress spikes cortisol, which can prematurely push hairs out of the growth phase and into the shedding phase. This leads to sudden shedding, but it's the long-term choke that leads to permanent thinning. Nutrition plays a massive role. Without enough iron or protein, the factory simply doesn't have the raw materials. While lifestyle is huge, we can't ignore the genetic blueprint that dictates how sensitive your follicles are to these changes. If the women in your family experienced thinning, your follicles may be genetically programmed to be more reactive to DHT. This isn't an overnight collapse. It is a gradual miniaturization that happens over several growth cycles. Each time a hair sheds and regrows, the follicle produces a strand that is slightly finer than the last. Eventually, the follicle sits so close to the surface that it can no longer support a long, heavy hair. This results in vellus hair, those tiny, translucent fuzzies that never seem to grow past a certain length. Here is the frustrating part. Many women are told their blood work is normal while their hair continues to thin. But normal for general health isn't always optimal for a high-demand organ like the hair follicle. For example, your iron stores might be fine for your heart, but too low to trigger the anagen growth phase. Then there's the thyroid, the master regulator of your body's metabolism and cellular energy. If your thyroid is sluggish, your follicles don't get the go signal they need to stay in the growth phase. In your 30s, subtle shifts in progesterone can leave estrogen unopposed, leading to systemic inflammation. Now, let's look at the external choke, the scalp environment itself, and the role of sebum. When excess oil oxidizes, it creates a plug that can trap bacteria and cause localized oxidative stress. This weakened scalp barrier makes the follicle even more vulnerable to environmental choking agents. Many women avoid washing their scalp out of fear of seeing hair fall, but this actually worsens the choke. An unclean scalp allows microbes to thrive, triggering an immune response that further restricts blood flow. Over-reliance on dry shampoo can create a stucco effect, physically burying the follicle under layers of powder. To stop the choke, we have to clear the path, both internally and externally. Physical tension in the scalp is another overlooked factor. If your scalp is tight, the blood vessels are squeezed. This layer can become fibrotic over time, literally shrinking the pot that your hair is planted in. Unlike men, women usually see thinning along the midline part, creating a see-through effect. Women naturally have more aromatase, which usually protects our hairlines from receding like men's do, but high insulin levels from a high sugar diet can suppress aromatase, leaving your follicles unprotected. This is the insulin choke. High blood sugar creates advanced glycation end products that stiffen the follicle. Managing the choke requires a holistic approach, starting with lowering systemic noise. If we can reduce the inflammation, we can often signal the follicle that it is safe to grow again. Antioxidants act as the cleanup crew, removing the oxidative stress that chokes the follicle's energy. Mechanical stimulation, like scalp massage, has been shown to stretch the follicle cells, triggering growth signals. This mechanical stretching actually tells the follicle to increase its diameter, fighting miniaturization. Beyond the skin itself, we have to talk about the microbiome choke, the invisible ecosystem living on your head. When your scalp's good bacteria are outnumbered, they stop producing the protective fatty acids your follicles need. This can create a biofilm, a literal microscopic film that traps DHT and pollutants against the skin. Many clarifying shampoos are too harsh, stripping the microbiome and triggering a rebound oil production. This leads to a leaky scalp barrier, where external irritants penetrate deep enough to reach the hair bulb. Your immune system reacts by sending mast cells to the area, causing a low-grade itch or burning sensation. If your scalp often feels tender or sore at the roots, it's a sign the choke is actively inflammatory. This brings us to a hard truth. The choke often starts in your gut, not just on your head. Leaky gut allows toxins into your blood that eventually reach the scalp, triggering that follicle choking inflammation. Probiotics and fiber don't just help digestion, they act as an internal declogger for your follicles. Now let's look at the mitochondrial choke, where your hair cells literally run out of battery. Hair growth is the second most energy-intensive process in the body after bone marrow production. As we age, the scalp itself loses collagen, becoming tighter and less flexible. This calcification or hardening of the scalp tissue can literally compress the follicle space to grow. Poor circulation means waste products stay trapped near the root, further choking the environment. This is why photobiomodulation, or red light therapy, is becoming a go-to for many women. The light frequency recharges the cell's battery, giving the follicle the energy to push through the choke. Topicals like rosemary oil work by stimulating blood flow, acting as a vasodilator to open the choke point. When the vessel widens, oxygen floods back into the papilla, signaling the hair to stay in the anagen phase. But you can't biohack your way out of a sleep choke. Growth hormones peak while you sleep. Melatonin isn't just for sleep, it is a powerful antioxidant that specifically protects hair follicles from aging. Deep, restorative sleep is when your body does the maintenance work to clear out follicle-choking toxins. For those with DHT sensitivity, natural blockers can help prevent the hormone from ever reaching the receptor. It's like putting a lock on the door so the choking signal can't get inside the cell. When the choke is released, you'll notice baby hairs or flyaways. These are signs of a reviving follicle. This is reversal. The follicle is finally healthy enough to produce a full diameter strand again. But patience is mandatory. Because of the hair cycle, you won't see the results of unchoking for 90 to 120 days. This is why consistency is the #1 secret to reclaiming your hair density. Reversing the follicle choke isn't about one miracle product. It's about a total shift in your internal climate. We start with the building blocks. Amino acids like proline and glycine provide the structural scaffold for the hair shaft. Vitamin D is actually a pro-hormone. Without it, the follicle stays in a dormant state, refusing to enter the growth phase. While biotin is famous, it works best alongside zinc, which helps the body repair the tissue around the choke point. To lower the cortisol choke, we must signal to the nervous system that the body is not under attack. Activating the vagus nerve lowers systemic inflammation, effectively opening the blood vessels to the scalp. When you wash, focus on scalp hygiene. Use your fingertips or a brush to physically break up oxidized sebum. Look for ingredients like salicylic acid in your scalp treatments to chemically exfoliate the follicle opening. Keeping your scalp's pH slightly acidic prevents the microbiome choke from allowing fungal overgrowth. Tracking your triggers helps you identify if your thinning is seasonal, hormonal, or stress-induced. Remember the insulin choke. Swap high glycemic snacks for healthy fats like avocado and walnuts to stabilize your hormones. Omega-3 fatty acids lubricate the follicle from the inside out, reducing the stiffness of the scalp tissue. Reduce mechanical choke. Friction from cotton pillowcases can snap fragile, thinning hairs while you sleep. Avoid traction choke. Tight styles pull on the follicle, causing physical trauma that leads to permanent scarring. As you implement these changes, the choke begins to loosen, the papilla expands, and the hair bulb deepens. You'll first notice a lift at the roots. This is because the hair is now strong enough to support its own weight. The see-through scalp begins to disappear as the miniaturized hairs are replaced by terminal hairs. A healthy follicle produces a healthy cuticle, which reflects more light, making your hair look shinier and younger. If your thinning is rapid or painful, always consult a professional to rule out autoimmune choking conditions. Be your own advocate. Ask for specific tests that look at the optimal ranges, not just the normal ones. Natural menthol and peppermint can provide a microvascular boost, acting as a quick daily unchoker. Treat your hair like an expensive silk fabric. The more you protect the new growth, the faster you'll see results. EGCG found in green tea has been shown to inhibit the DHT that causes the hormonal choke. Your hair is a reflection of your internal vitality. When the choke is gone, the forest can thrive. For women in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, this is often a season of high stress, but your hair doesn't have to pay the price. Build your roadmap. Start with one change this week, perhaps a daily scalp massage or an iron-rich breakfast. Show your follicles some love. They are living organs that respond to the care you give them. Hair thinning can feel like a loss of identity, but understanding the why gives you the power to change the how. Thousands of women have reversed miniaturization by addressing the follicle choke at its source. Don't get discouraged by the shed. It is often the sign that a weak hair is being pushed out to make room for a stronger one. This new growth is the ultimate goal, a follicle that is wide open and fully fueled. Your body wants to be in balance. Your hair wants to grow. You just have to clear the way. Let's recap the unchoking essentials. Clean the scalp, feed the root, and calm the system. Knowledge is the best growth serum. Keep learning about your body's unique signals. Like a plant in a garden, your hair needs the right soil, the right water, and the right light. You aren't helpless against thinning. You are now equipped with the science of the follicle choke. For more detailed guides on specific scalp treatments, check the links in the description below. Share your journey in the comments. We are all learning how to support our health together. Every strand matters. Every healthy habit counts. Thank you for taking the time to understand your biology today. Understanding the follicle choke is the first step towards reversing it. It's about creating a fertile environment for growth. With the right internal support and topical care, many follicles can be unchoked and revived. Your hair isn't just gone, it's waiting for the right conditions to return. Stay consistent, stay patient, and watch your hair thrive.